Who's there?
Help me, please.
Oh my God, what happened?
Please, help me. I need you. Please.
The blizzard screamed against the old wooden cottage like a living thing desperate to get in. Dr. Lena Harper sat curled on the threadbare rug in front of the dying fire, knees to her chest, wearing the same oversized sweater she'd cried into for 3 straight days. Her phone lay dark beside her. No signal, no one to call, just the wind and the crushing weight of betrayal. 3 days ago, the email had arrived while she was still glowing from the breakthrough. Her revolutionary gene therapy patent, the one that could save thousands of cancer patients, had been seized by Vale Pharmaceuticals. Effective immediately, your employment is terminated, it read. Signed by the man she had secretly loved for 2 years. Marcus Vale, the devastatingly handsome billionaire CEO who once looked at her across boardroom tables like she was the only woman alive. Her crush, her hero, the one who'd mentored her late nights in the lab, whose rare smiles made her heart stutter. He had fired her with a single cold signature. And now she was here, in her late grandfather's isolated Wyoming cabin, jobless, penniless, and completely alone on Christmas Eve. A sudden, frantic pounding on the door made her jolt upright. Not the wind, real knuckles. Desperate, Lena grabbed the iron poker, heart slamming against her ribs. Who would be out here at midnight in this storm? She crept to the door, cracked it an inch. Snow blasted in like needles. A man collapsed against the frame, coat torn, blood streaking his temple, dark hair plastered to his forehead, even half frozen and broken. He was unmistakable, tall, broad-shouldered, the same chiseled jaw and storm-gray eyes that had haunted her dreams. Marcus Vale. He lifted his head, snowflakes clinging to his lashes. His voice was raw, barely above a whisper. Help, please. Quote. Lena's grip tightened on the poker. Rage, shock, and something painfully tender collided inside her chest. You. The word cracked like ice. After you destroyed me? After you stole everything I built? Get away from my door. Marcus, I hope the storm finishes what you started. He swayed, one hand clutching the doorframe. Blood dripped onto the snow between them. His breathing was shallow, labored. For a terrifying second she thought he might die right there on her porch. The man she'd once imagined a future with. Then he lunged forward, not to attack, but to cup her face with one freezing, trembling hand. His palm was rough against her cheek, thumb brushing her tears she hadn't realized were falling. Those gray eyes locked onto hers with desperate intensity. My wife, he rasped, voice breaking. I knew you'd be here. My Lena, don't leave me. Quote. The words hit her like a slap. Wife? The room spun. Before she could pull away, his eyes rolled back and his body went limp, crumpling into her arms. Lena staggered under his weight, the poker clattering to the floor. Marcus. Hey, wake up. She slapped his cheek lightly, panic rising. He was burning with fever yet ice cold to the touch. Hypothermia, head trauma. If she left him outside, he'd be dead by morning. Cursing herself, cursing him, cursing the universe. She hooked her arms under his shoulders and dragged his unconscious body inside. Snow and blood smeared across the floorboards. She kicked the door shut against the howling wind, the latch barely catching. The fire was almost out. She hauled him closer to the hearth, stripped off his soaked coat and shirt with shaking hands, trying not to notice the familiar scent of his cologne mixed with blood and pine. His chest rose and fell too slowly. She piled every blanket she owned over him, then ran to heat water on the wood stove. As she knelt beside him again, pressing warm cloths to his wounds, his eyelids fluttered, those storm-gray eyes opened, hazy and unfocused. He stared at her like she was the only light in the world. Lena, he whispered, voice thick with wonder and confusion. Where are we, love? Why can't I remember anything except your face? Quote. Lena froze, cloth dripping in her hand. The fire crackled. Outside, the blizzard raged on. And inside, Dr. Lena Harper realized she had just dragged the man who broke her heart straight into her only safe place. And he was looking at her like she was his entire universe. Lena's hands trembled as she wrung out another warm cloth. pressing it gently to the gash above Marcus's eyebrow. The fire had roared back to life after she fed it fresh logs, casting flickering gold across his pale face. He watched her with those unnervingly soft eyes. Eyes that once commanded boardrooms and now held only confusion and quiet adoration. "You're really here," he murmured, voice hoarse. "I thought maybe I dreamed you." She swallowed hard, forcing her expression to stay calm. "You're safe now. Just rest." He reached up slowly, fingers brushing her wrist. The touch sent an unwanted spark through her. "I don't remember the city, or the company, or anything before the snow, but I remember you. Your laugh in the lab. The way you bite your lip when you're thinking too hard." A faint, crooked smile touched his lips. "My wife, my Lena." The words twisted like a knife. She pulled her hand away, standing abruptly. "You hit your head pretty hard. Amnesia is common with trauma. You'll remember soon." His brow furrowed, hurt flashing across his features. "You sound angry." "I'm not," she lied, turning to the small kitchenette to hide her face. She busied herself boiling more water, the kettle's whistle covering the thud of her heart. How dare he look at her like that now, after he'd signed her termination, after he'd let his stepbrother Damien rewrite her contract to claim her life's work? The patent that could have funded treatments for her own mother's cancer. The one she'd lost because of a single forged signature she'd once believed was his. Yet here he was, vulnerable, bleeding, convinced she was the center of his shattered world. She carried a mug of broth back to him. He tried to sit up, winced, and accepted her help without protest as she steadied the mug against his lips. Their eyes met again. Something raw passed between them. Grief, maybe, or the ghost of what might have been. "Thank you," he whispered after swallowing, "for not leaving me out there." She looked away. "I'm not a monster." "No," he agreed softly. "You're the opposite." The storm raged for 2 more days. They were trapped together in the tiny cabin. No escape, no signal, just the crackle of the fire and the forced intimacy of survival. Marcus, still calling himself her husband, helped where he could. He insisted on stacking firewood despite the dizziness, laughed weakly when she scolded him, and asked endless gentle questions about their life together. Lena answered carefully, weaving half-truths. She told him they'd met in the lab, fallen in love over late-night experiments, married quietly because the company frowned on relationships. She left out the firing, the betrayal, the way she'd cried herself to sleep after seeing his name on that email. Each night, he pulled her close when the cold crept in, wrapping his arms around her like it was the most natural thing in the world. She stiffened at first, then, against every instinct, let herself lean into the warmth. It was pretend, it had to be, but the way he whispered her name in his sleep, the way his fingers traced slow circles on her back, it felt dangerously real. On the 3rd morning, the blizzard finally eased. Sunlight pierced the frost-laced windows. Marcus was stronger, sitting at the rough-hewn table while Lena cleaned the last of his bandages. He watched her quietly for a long moment. "Lena, why do I feel like I hurt you? Like I've done something unforgivable?" Quote, her hands stilled on the gauze. She met his gaze, and for a heartbeat, the lie almost cracked. Then she heard it, distant engines, snowmobiles, voices calling through the trees. Marcus tensed. Someone's coming. Lena's stomach dropped. She knew who it would be. Damien's people. They'd tracked the missing CEO. And if they found him here, alive, with her, everything would unravel. She forced a smile. "Stay inside. I'll handle it." But as she reached for her coat, Marcus caught her hand. His grip was firm, protective. "Whoever they are," he said quietly, "they don't get to take you from me. Not again." Lena's throat tightened. She didn't know if he was remembering, or if the amnesia had forged something new in him. Either way, the lie she built to protect him was about to be tested. And she wasn't sure she could keep pretending much longer. The snowmobile's engines cut through the crisp post-blizzard air like chainsaws. Lena stepped onto the porch, coat pulled tight, breath fogging in the sudden sunlight. 3 men in dark parkas dismounted, helmets under their arms, 2 security types with hard faces, and one in a tailored wool coat who carried himself like he owned the mountain. Damien Vale. Marcus's stepbrother, the real architect of her ruin. Damien's gaze swept the cabin, then locked on her. Recognition flickered, surprise, then calculation. Dr. Harper, I didn't expect to find you here. Quite the coincidence. No coincidence, Lena said evenly. This is my grandfather's property. Private. You're trespassing. One of the security men stepped forward, holding up a tablet. We have medical proxy documents signed by Mr. Vale's next of kin. Damien Vale, Alexander, Marcus, is incapacitated. We're here to transport him to a proper facility. Lena's pulse thundered. He's not going anywhere. Damien smiled thinly. You're not family, doctor. You're an ex-employee. Fired, if I recall correctly, by my brother's signature. Inside the cabin, through the half-open door, Marcus appeared, still pale, bandaged, but standing tall. His eyes narrowed at the sight of Damien. Something primal flashed there. Instinct, perhaps, or the first crack in the amnesia. Lena? Marcus called, voice steady despite the strain. He moved to her side, one hand settling protectively at the small of her back. Damien's smile faltered. Marcus, thank God. We've been searching everywhere. The crash. Everyone thought you were dead. Marcus tilted his head, studying his stepbrother like a puzzle he couldn't quite solve. I don't remember you. A beat of silence. Damien recovered smoothly. Trauma. Understandable. Come with us. We'll get the best doctors. You'll be back to yourself in no time. No, Marcus said quietly. The word carried surprising steel. I'm staying. With my wife. Damien's eyes flicked to Lena, sharp as knives. Your wife. Lena lifted her chin. We married last year. Quiet ceremony. You weren't invited. The lie came easier now. Fueled by fury, she had the forged marriage certificate tucked in her coat pocket, created in a sleepless hour using an old online template and her grandfather's notary stamp. Risky, illegal, maybe, necessary. The security man with the tablet frowned. We have no record of any marriage. Then your records are incomplete, Lena shot back. I'm his legal next of kin. You have no proxy here. Leave. Damien laughed softly, but it didn't reach his eyes. This is ridiculous. Marcus, you're confused. She's manipulating you. She was fired for cause. Fraudulent research claims she's after the company. After your money. Marcus's hand tightened on Lena's waist. He looked down at her, searching her face. For a terrifying second, she thought the lie would shatter right there. Instead, he turned back to Damien. I may not remember much, Marcus said slowly, but I remember enough to know who I trust, and it's not you. His voice dropped. Get off this property, now. Damien's composure cracked. Just a flicker. You'll regret this. He signaled the men. They hesitated, then remounted the snowmobiles. Engines roared back to life. Damien lingered a moment longer, staring at Lena with pure venom. This isn't over, Doctor. The machines disappeared into the trees, leaving only tracks and exhaust in the snow. Lena exhaled shakily. Marcus turned her to face him, hands gentle on her shoulders. They scared you, he said softly. Not a question. She nodded, unable to speak past the lump in her throat. He pulled her into his arms without hesitation. She stiffened, then melted against him. The solid warmth of his chest, the steady beat of his heart. For the first time since the firing, she let herself cry, quiet, wrenching sobs into his sweater. I don't know what I did to you before, he murmured into her hair. But I swear, I'll spend the rest of my life making it right. Lena clung tighter. The lie was holding, for now, but the truth was clawing closer. And when it broke free, she wasn't sure either of them would survive the fallout. The days after Damien's visit stretched into a tense, fragile peace. The snow melted in patches under a weak winter sun, but the cabin felt smaller, the air thicker with unspoken things. Marcus grew stronger every hour, chopping wood with steady swings, helping Lena prepare simple meals, even teasing her about her terrible coffee. He moved like a man reclaiming his body, but his mind remained a blank slate except for her. Lena watched him constantly, torn between guarding the lie and wishing it could be real. Every gentle touch, every shared laugh chipped at her resolve. She told herself it was temporary. He would remember eventually, and when he did, the betrayal would flood back. His signature, forged or not, her firing, the patent he'd let slip away. She would be the enemy again. It happened on the 5th night. They sat by the fire after dinner, Marcus reading an old paperback she'd found on the shelf while Lena sketched notes for her research. Desperate to reclaim some piece of what she'd lost, the room was quiet except for the pop of embers. Marcus suddenly gasped, hand flying to his temple. The book tumbled from his fingers. His body jerked once, violently, eyes rolling back, limbs locking rigid. Marcus! Lena dropped her notebook and lunged to his side, catching him before he hit the floor. She eased him down, turning him on his side as the seizure took hold. Muscles spasming, teeth clenched, a low groan escaping his throat. She timed it silently. 40 seconds. 50. Then it released him in a shuddering exhale. He went limp, sweat beading on his forehead. She cradled his head in her lap, stroking his hair, whispering nonsense comforts until his breathing steadied. Minutes passed before his eyes fluttered open, clearer, sharper than they'd been since the crash. He stared up at her, and something had shifted. Recognition, not the soft, adoring haze of amnesia. The real thing. Lena. His voice cracked. The lab, the late nights, your mother's diagnosis, the patent presentation I promised to fight for. Her heart stopped. She tried to pull away, but his hand caught hers. Firm, trembling. I remember, he whispered. All of it. The board meeting. Damien handing me papers to sign. I was distracted, exhausted. I didn't read them. I trusted him. His eyes filled with horror. He forged my name on your termination. He changed the clause. He wanted me gone. The brakes. The crash wasn't an accident. Lena's throat closed. Tears burned hot tracks down her cheeks. You didn't know. I should have known. Self-loathing twisted his features. I let him near you. Near everything you built. And then I disappeared. And you saved me anyway. You lied to protect me. Pretended to be my wife when I'd already destroyed your life. She shook her head fiercely. I did it because no one deserves to die betrayed by their own family. And because, somewhere in those days, I stopped hating you. Marcus sat up slowly, wincing, but never let go of her hand. He searched her face like he was memorizing it all over again. I came here that night, he said quietly. Before the crash, I'd found the forged documents. I was bringing proof. Your original patent files. The real contract. I was going to give them back. Apologize. Beg you to come back to the company. To me. Lena stared at him, stunned. You. What? Quote. I was too late. He swallowed hard. But I'm here now, and I'm not leaving until this is right. He reached into his coat pocket, the one she'd dried by the fire days ago, and pulled out a small, battered USB drive she hadn't noticed before. Everything's on here. Emails, timestamps, remote access logs from Damien's office to my car system. Enough to bury him. Lena took the drive with shaking fingers. Hope and fury warred inside her. We can't just wait. He'll come back. With more men. With lawyers. Marcus nodded, jaw set. Then we don't wait. We go to New York. Tomorrow. We end this together. He lifted her hand to his lips, pressing a soft, reverent kiss to her knuckles. No more lies, Lena. No more pretending. Just us. And justice. Outside, the last of the snow melted away, revealing the road down the mountain. The storm was over, but the real one was just beginning. The private jet sliced through the dawn sky toward New York, the city lights below still glittering like scattered diamonds. Lena sat across from Marcus in the leather cabin, the USB drive resting between them like a loaded weapon. Neither spoke much during the flight. Words felt too small for what waited ahead. Marcus had insisted on the rush. No time for Damien to cover tracks or rally allies. Lena had agreed, though fear gnawed at her. What if the evidence wasn't enough? What if the board sided with the man who'd already proven he could forge signatures and sabotage lives? They landed at a discreet airstrip just after sunrise. A waiting car took them straight to Vale Pharmaceuticals headquarters. A sleek glass tower that had once felt like home to Lena. Now it loomed like a battlefield. The emergency shareholder meeting had been called under false pretenses. Urgent CEO transition matters. Damien believed Marcus was still missing. Or dead. The surprise would be their only advantage. Security recognized Marcus instantly. Whispers rippled through the lobby as they strode to the executive elevator. Lena kept her head high, coat buttoned over the simple sweater she'd worn in the cabin, the same one stained with his blood days ago. The boardroom doors opened to stunned silence. 30 faces turned, directors, investors, legal counsel. Damien sat at the head of the long table, mid-sentence, smile frozen when he saw them. Marcus? His voice cracked. You're alive. Very, Marcus said coldly. He walked to the front, Lena at his side, and I have something to show you all. He plugged the USB into the presentation system. The screen lit up with damning files. Timestamp emails from Damien's private server. Remote access logs proving he'd disabled the brakes on Marcus's car. Forged termination documents with mismatched signature forensics. And audio of Damien laughing on a call. Once he's gone, the patent sells for $2 billion. No more bleeding heart scientist in the way. Gasps rippled through the room. Damien shot to his feet. This is fabricated. She manipulated him. Dr. Harper has motive. She was fired for incompetence. Quote, Marcus's voice cut like ice. I remember everything now. The forgery. The attempted murder. You tried to kill me. Damien. Your own stepbrother. For money. For power. Lena stepped forward, voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. And you stole my patent. My life's work. Through fraud. That gene therapy could save lives. Including my mother's. If I'd had the resources. You took that from me. From thousands. The room erupted in murmurs. The chairman stood. Security. Detain Mr. Damien Vale immediately. Damien lunged for the door. Too late. 2 guards blocked him. He spun, face twisted in rage. You think this ends here? I'll bury you both. Quote, Marcus met his glare without flinching. No, you're finished. FBI agents, alerted quietly by Marcus's lawyer en route, entered through a side door. Handcuffs clicked. Damien's protests echoed down the hall as they led him away. The board turned to Marcus. What now? The chairman asked quietly. Marcus glanced at Lena. Restoration. Full ownership of Dr. Harper's patent reverts to her. No contest and she joins as co-CEO. Equal partner. The company moves forward under new leadership. Honest leadership. Nods rippled around the table. Votes were called. Unanimous. Hours later, the press conference was chaos. Flashes. Questions. Headlines already forming. Vale's CEO returns from the dead. Brother arrested for attempted murder. Outside the tower, snow began to fall again. Soft, cleansing flakes. Marcus and Lena stood on the sidewalk. City noise fading around them. He turned to her, eyes soft. I don't deserve forgiveness. Lena reached up, brushing snow from his hair. Maybe not, but you deserve a chance to earn it. He pulled her close, forehead resting against hers. Then let me start now. No more boardrooms without you. No more secrets. Just us. She smiled, small, real, hopeful. Back to the cabin first? Quote, always, he whispered, where it began. They walked into the snow together, hand in hand, not pretending anymore. The storm had passed. What remained was something stronger. Truth, redemption, and the quiet promise of a future neither had expected.